Joe Blasco here, and we're back with our new show, Spotlight on Success. And our guest today is master makeup artist, Mr. John Rizzo. Hey, John. Welcome
Good to
the
see you,
show.
Joe. It's always
and
good to
thank
see
you. It's been such a long time since I've seen you.
It has. It's been a few years.
Yeah, it has. And I'm really happy that you were able to make it today and to do this show.
My pleasure.
You have been really, really busy. And Deadwood, and I know you're all familiar with Deadwood. And by the way, this is a worldwide show. This is, if you weren't already nervous, this is not just local, it's worldwide. So all of you out there that are outside of the United States, you're going to want to go on to the internet and look up Deadwood, right? And see, are there clips from the show that they can see?
Yeah, I believe
if they're
so,
not familiar with the show?
Yes, oh, absolutely.
All right. John was nominated for 3 Emmy Awards for Deadwood, and you won 2. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And they're right here.
Yep.
They're fantastic. You know, I watched the show so many times. And when you watch the show, you look at the show, right? It's a Western, right? Which was really refreshing because I hadn't seen a really quality Western in a long time, right? And you watch the show and you go, gee, what do they do to these people? It's like, they're dirty, and they look very natural though, and well, they've got beards and mustaches, they probably grow them, but it's not until you sit down with the man who did the work that you really understand and learn the amount of work and time that went into making these people look real and natural. Hair pieces, very intricate highlighting and shading, perfect placement, and that has to be matched from shot to shot of dirt patterns and bruises and all of the injury simulation that you did. Amazing stuff. Really amazing stuff. And you worked with Ron Schneider on that, right?
Yeah.
Whitey Snyder's son.
Father.
I'm
sorry, Whitey Snyder's, yeah, you're right, Whitey Snyder's son.
Father, I was going to say father. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Where have I been?
Ron's Whitey's son.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I had no idea. I didn't know. We were talking this morning before we went on the air, and I found out that Whitey is his father.
Yeah.
And I've oftentimes looked at pictures of Marilyn Monroe, and Whitey Snyder was Marilyn Monroe's personal makeup artist, and he worked over there at 20th Century Fox most of the time with Ben Nye. Yeah, with Ben Nye. Because I apprenticed with Ben Nye Sr.
Right.
After he left. It was not a formal apprenticeship.
Right.
I apprenticed with him for almost 3 years in his shop. And he used to talk about Whitey Snyder all the time and about Marilyn Monroe and how Whitey really had the patience of Job, in dealing with what he had to deal with. And he did such a remarkable job, not only, psychologically, making Marilyn feel good on a day-to-day basis, but really making her look sensational. He was kind of like the forerunner. This interview is about you, but we got to talk about Whitey.
Whitey was a great guy, and I actually got to meet him once, so it was a pleasure.
Now, is he still with us, or no? He passed away.
Whitey passed away.
Yeah, it's been a while. Actually.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but he was like the forerunner of using the white eye, highlight on the eyelids, and the really, avant-garde kind of black liner. And his photos of Marilyn Monroe are absolutely classic.
They're amazing.
You find them everywhere. Anyway, but Ron works with you. And the two of you, are you the department head?
On Deadwood, I was a department head, and I just to clarify one thing, especially for everybody out there, Deadwood was an amazing show. It was the hardest show I ever did, and in a lot of ways the most rewarding for not just because of the Emmys, but because of the work itself, who we were working with, and the results of that show. But more importantly, it would never have been the success that it was on our part for makeup and hair if it wasn't for all the makeup artists and hairstylists who worked on that show every day, and their contributions were absolutely invaluable.
John Blake.
Yeah, John Blake made hair goods for us. Ron was with, I was lucky that Ron decided to come onto the show. Adam Brandy.
Yeah. How is Adam?
Adam's doing well.
I haven't seen him in a while. We'll have to have him on the show.
Adam's doing well. Jim Scribner, Bob Scribner, our hair department, Carol Pershing, Terry Bael, Kimberly Spiteri, Peter Tothpal, first season, Josie Norman. We had so many people that were there contributing every single day. And for makeup artists, and this is very important, you work with hairstylists intimately, and especially on a period show.
Oh, yeah.
You can do something, and if they're not there to help you and to integrate everything together, the look can be ruined or they can save you. And it works both ways.
Yes.
And it was an incredible team effort. I was the luckiest man in the world to have such a great team of artists.
Yes.
Every single day. I mean, we had at least makeup and hair, minimum 6 to 8 every single day, and we went sometimes up to like 30. You know, because the background, all the background had to be done, and it wasn't just throwing dirt on people, even for the background. There were subtle things that had to be done with hair and with makeup, so that the look, along with wardrobe, along with props, along with set dressing, you walked into that set and you went, wow. And you know, the result is that every episode was like a mini feature.
Yeah, absolutely. The detail that you put into this was remarkable. I can imagine walking onto that set. It must have been like being in a time machine.
Oh,
Can you imagine that? That had to have been just one of the most remarkable experiences.
Our
of
set
your
was
life.
as large as 3 football fields.
Wow. That's amazing. Was it all? The town was in a stage, was it not?
It was on a back lot.
On the back lot.
We shot in Newhall at the Melody Ranch, which was Gene Autry's old ranch.
Yes.
And there was a street there when we actually started, and they built around that street. And then we just expanded, like the town of Deadwood historically expanded.
Yes, it expanded.
Our show
as well.
expanded as well. Yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
You actually got to live it. Then.
Oh boy, did we ever!
Oh my
Day
God.
and night.
When did you start? What time in the morning did you guys arrive?
Sometimes, you know, about 4-ish.
Did you have like another makeup unit that worked around the clock, preparing and cleaning hair goods, or did you guys do everything yourselves?
We did it.
You did it all yourselves.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well,
That
thanks.
is just amazing.
So back, I'll just say, Ian McShane and Timothy Oliphant, I mean, who were, you know, they were the stars of the show.
Right.
I mean, they grew their mustaches.
Yes.
Except in season 3 when they sort of, we had to fill in until they grew in because they had other commitments. And those challenges we had to deal with as well. Right. But we were lucky to have a lot of our actors, Brad Dourif as well.
Yes.
You know, they grew their own hair goods after the pilot.
Yes.
Other actors we didn't have that luxury because maybe they had another show or they just couldn't grow facial hair, and we had to put facial hair on them.
Did they change the script on you like last minute, where you found yourself working out of the makeup box more than being able to prepare with pre-made appliances?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, the show.
You've got to have a lot of stories.
Oh boy, the show was created by David Milch, who is probably one of the most incredible minds in television, if not just in general. I mean, he's a brilliant man. He created NYPD Blue with Stephen Bochco. He was on. They met on Hill Street Blues, and they've had other projects as well. But David created and wrote Deadwood, and David works in a very unique way. Most of the time, we did not have scripts, because David likes to be very organic. He likes to see what's going on with the actors, how they're working with each other, and he'll go, I can change that. I can make this better. I can do this. So basically for us, they go, well, we're having Joe come in today, and we need him next week to play this character. We go, okay. And then they go, well, we decided we need him tomorrow. And you go, okay. And then tomorrow would come and you'd be all ready, and they go, oh, it's okay, we really don't need him until next week. So it was always that. But the challenge.
It's like live television, videotaped television in the studio.
Except that the one good thing that we had about that show is that whether you were an actor or a crew member, there is not one person who did not want to be there, working with David, working with his show, because you knew the end result
Yes.
was going to be absolutely astonishing,
Yeah,
and it
flawless.
was.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was. It was the hardest show I ever did, and the most rewarding show I ever did, because when you read his words, you said, wow, I'm helping to make that
Yes.
come to life.
Yes. Tell our worldwide audience about the story.
Sure. Deadwood, South Dakota, excuse me, in 1876, was Indian territory that the United States had given the Indians,
Yes.
until the white man found gold. Then
That was it.
that's it. You tell the white
There's
man
the
there's gold
story.
there. So all of a sudden, all bets were off,
Right.
and they just came in droves. And Deadwood, South Dakota, in less than 6 months, went from basically trees and
Right.
brush and mud
To how many?
to 10,000 people.
Wow.
And there was no plumbing, there was, no streets, there were, tents and some buildings that
Yes.
went up. And then they just expanded from there. And it was just absolutely amazing that this town, for the first year, I mean, it was totally lawless. They averaged a killing a day.
Oh my God.
A killing a day.
Did you actually have photographs, of the actual Deadwood and the people
Yes.
and the population?
Excuse me.
That you
Yes.
worked from?
Actually, we did, and we were very fortunate to get a lot of help from Mary Kopko and Jerry
A
Bryant,
historian?
yeah, who work in Deadwood.
Yes.
They work at the Adams House and Museum, which is the official
Yes.
museum
Yes.
in Deadwood. And we would call them up. We would tell them what we needed. They would send us photos. They would give us information
Terrific.
for all the departments. They were incredibly helpful.
Yes.
In fact, so much so that we.
You put together something for them?
Well, actually,
Yeah.
when you win an Emmy, you can when you're a winner,
Mm-hmm.
the Academy says, "Do you have anyone who helped you achieve your goal
Yes.
in any way?" And you get a certain certificate, and we made sure that they had gotten certificates thanking them for their work, because they had given us so much research,
Yes.
which was incredibly helpful.
Yes.
I mean,
That's fabulous.
Yeah, and they came to visit the set.
Yeah.
I took my father on a trip to Deadwood so he could see the real Deadwood. I mean, it was great.
That had to be exciting.
Yeah.
Did they must have tons of photos that from the film there,
Oh.
of all the characters.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like in their Chamber of Commerce building.
Yes,
and
they
their
do.
museum.
Oh, absolutely. They had the actors
Right.
visit there at one time.
Right. So, I'm looking down your list here, and forgive me for putting these glasses on, but you've got
Sure.
so many things going on here, John. I'm telling you. You've got, let me just read down this list. The thing, Tremors, American Family, Cold Case, Swingtown, and you've got Training Day, all right? Fame LA, and there's Growing Pains, Interspace, Predator. That had to be. What did you do on Predator? Were you?
Predator, I worked with Scott Edo, and he had called me up and said, "Come to Mexico." And all of a sudden, there I was doing this film that originally was titled Hunter. And then they realized there was a Hunter TV series, so they changed it to Predator.
Right.
So basically, I worked with Scott, and we did all the
Right.
actors, including Arnold.
Yes.
And then that was the first time we were in Mexico, which was March to June.
Yes.
And then we had to come back the next year and finish off the film. And then Jeff Dawn came and finished off Arnold, and
Yes.
I worked with the rest of the actors. So the only thing we didn't do was the Predator. The Predator was done by Stan Winston Studios.
Yes.
And Stan had about 6-7 guys come down. That was it. Kevin Hall. He was the Predator. Unfortunately, Kevin's not with us anymore. He was really a good guy, and he was 7'2"
Wow.
or something like
Huge,
that.
yeah.
And he did a great job. He was also Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. Here's one that jumps out at me. That Peggy Sue got married. What a great film! What a fun film that was.
Now, some of those, just so you know, like you mentioned, Peggy
That's not
Sue.
one of your bigger titles, but I
Well,
mean,
no. I mean, it's a great
very,
show.
very
But
great
I wasn't the
show.
department head, but I did get credits, so I felt it was
Right.
okay to put my.
Right.
But Tom Case was the department
Great,
head.
good. Wow, what a great
Yeah.
makeup artist.
And
Nice
Frank
guy,
Griffin.
too. Oh
Both.
yeah.
You know, they both did that show, and I was fortunate enough, they said, hey, kid, because that's how it was back then. Hey, kid, come on, come up and help us on this show. So it was great to work with them.
I see the Dukes of Hazzard here. That's the original Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, I did the last 3 episodes.
Wow. The last 3?
They told me, they said, come in. Leo Latito, who was then the department head over at Warner, said, come on, kid. You're going to come and do this. I went, okay. I didn't know it was they came back after the famous boys had their walkout or something like that. And I think it was 3, maybe it was 6. I don't remember. But, you know, they said, you're doing this. And I went, okay. So I got to do the Dukes of Hazzard.
John, you've been doing makeup now. I mean, that's unbelievable. You've been doing makeup for what, 28 years now, right? 28 years. That's a long time.
It is.
Now, when was the first time, if you could think back, that it struck you and you thought to yourself, wow, I want to be a makeup artist?
Well, okay, it's a funny story, and I'll tell it. I'm from New York, and I was in a theater company that was founded by Geraldine Fitzgerald, called the Everyman Company of Brooklyn. It was founded by her and a Franciscan friar, Brother Jonathan. And the whole idea was, she used to be in a company called the Dublin Players, and they would go out to all the villages, and they would do theater for all these people who couldn't get into town to see theater. So she wanted the Everyman Company of Brooklyn to be like the Dublin Players, and we would go out into the street, into neighborhoods where people had never seen theater, and do theater in the street. That was number 1. Number 2, I became the guy who they go, oh, we need to do this or that, and I'd fool around and go, there was the Bill Corso book, remember? And I go, that's how you make a scar, you could do this. And then through another friend of mine who was a hairstylist, I met a makeup artist.
Richard Corson.
I'm sorry, Richard Corson.
That's right.
Who did I say?
Bill Corson.
Oh, Bill.
That's flattering.
Bill, there's a plug for you, Bill. That was the first book. And then, like I said, a friend of mine owned a salon. He introduced me to a makeup artist. I got shown a couple of things, and he said the famous words. He said, go west, young man. And I went, okay. And my sister had moved out here a year and a half before. I called her up and said, I think I'm going to come out for a while and try to be a makeup artist. She went, you are? I went, yeah, okay. So she said, okay, can I sleep on your couch? Okay. And I literally packed up, got rid of my apartment in Brooklyn, came here, slept on her couch for the first month and a half. And I said, what am I going to do? And I had the names of some, at that time, there were still makeup departments at the studios. So I had the names of the department heads. The first one was Nick Marcelino, who was the department head at Universal. So now I go drive by Universal. I know nothing about Los Angeles. And I'm looking at all these people walking in and out of the gate. And at certain times of the day, there's like a lot of people because I'm going, oh, this must be when work starts.
How long, let me interrupt you just for a second.
Yeah.
How long had you been in Los Angeles when you did this?
About a week and a half.
A week.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because I did exactly the same
Yeah.
thing. I had a cousin, and I slept on their couch.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it was
Continue.
about a week and a half. And
So you went over
okay.
to Universal.
So, and I'm looking, I'm going, okay, this is just like those Hollywood pictures, people walking in and out of the studio. And some people were carrying things, or they had, you know, they were in suits, or some people weren't in suits. And I went, okay. I went home. I put on something nice, and I had a portfolio, a leather portfolio, with all my great makeups done on my father, my sister, my cousin, my friends, you know, beards and burns or whatever. And I said, I'm a makeup artist, right? And now I sneak into this like crowd about a half a block away, people walking, and I just kind of walk through the gate, and I'm like, no guard stopping me. Keep on walking, John, keep on walking. Now I'm in the middle of Universal Studios. I don't know anything where I am. And I see somebody and I go, oh, excuse me, that's the makeup department, right? And luckily I was in the right spot. The guy says, no, it's the big red doors over there. And I went, oh yeah, that's right. Now I walk through the red doors. I opened up the doors, and there's this blonde lady behind the desk. Her name was Anita, and she was Nick's secretary. And she goes, hi, may I help you? I said, yeah, I'm John Rizzo. I'm here to see Nick Marcelino. And she went, okay. And she says, Nick, there's a guy, John Rizzo here, is here to see you. Send him in. So I go in, I introduce myself. He realizes by, you know, about the second sentence that somehow I've snuck in.
Oh, my
And I'm
God,
showing
John.
him my portfolio. And he goes, well, that's nice, kid, but, you got to be in the union to work here. And, we don't have anything. And besides that, I think the actor strike was just ending, something like that.
Right.
Because there was an actor strike back in the 80s.
What year was this?
1980. It was October 1980.
Oh, my God.
So he says, well, but you could possibly get some days working at NBC. I went, really? He goes, yeah, Harry Blake's the department head over there for makeup.
Let
I
me
went,
make a call. Did he call?
No,
Harry?
no, he didn't call. He didn't call Harry. I went, okay, well, thank you very much, Nick. I really appreciate your time. I get in my car. I break out my AAA map. I'm looking at directions. Now I go, I don't have to hide. I drive my car right up to the gate at NBC, and I go, hi, John Rizzo. Nick Marcelino from Universal sent me to see Harry Blake.
Oh, my God.
So the guard calls up and says, Harry, there's
I
some...
thought I was clever. Holy moly. That's terrific.
So the guy calls up, and he says, Harry, there's some guy named John Rizzo here. Nick Marcelino sent him from Universal. Harry says, send him in. Now I go in. They give me a parking space.
Boy, did you work it, baby. Oh, that's great. Oh.
Now I go in, and I meet Harry. And after about sentence number 2, he realizes, what this kid's done. And he looks at all my stuff and he goes, well, that's really great, kid, but I don't have anything at the moment. I go, well, thank you, Mr. Blake. And now I'm trying to do this. Well, I haven't gotten any work. Not long after that, I did, because the actor strike ended, I was able to get a job. Nick Marcelino called me up. I worked on Harper Valley PTA. He needed 30 days to get into the local. I got 31 days and got laid off. Now I'm a member of Local 706 and I can go to union meetings.
Yes.
But I can't get a job. Nobody's hiring me. I can't get a job, and I'm working as a messenger, accounting, anything I can do to pay the rent. About less than a year later, at one of the union meetings, I'm there, and all of a sudden I see Harry Blake walk in. And he happened to be there because he was coming with a friend or something. And I walk up to him and I go, Harry Blake? Yeah. I said, John Rizzo, we met about a year or so, maybe less than a year ago. And he says, I came with my portfolio, and he's looking at me like, oh yeah, kid. I said, well, I made it. I'm in the local. And he, obviously you are. You're at the union meeting. It didn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. And I said, well, yeah, just nice to see you, Harry. And he goes, well, good. Nice seeing you. And that was it. The very next day, I got a call from Harry Blake saying, can you come and work on Days of Our Lives? I told my girlfriend, that's it. I hit the lottery. I'm working at NBC. Finally. What I didn't realize was Harry called up the local. Hey, is this John Rizzo? Yeah, he's on the list, And he called me up, and for about 4 or 5 years, Harry Blake really put food on my table. Yeah. He really did. And anything Harry wanted, I did. Worked on the soap opera, worked on the news, worked on game shows, worked on the Tonight Show, went on remotes for the Sunday show.
Yes.
Whatever he said, Harry, whatever you want. Work Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, because you had the news. I mean, somebody always had to be there.
That's right.
It didn't matter. Dick Clark specials.
Yes.
It didn't matter. And it was a great learning experience because I did not know anything. I have this big, gigantic 8-drawer makeup case. And I walk into the soap opera, and I'm looking, and everybody put out more makeup than I'd ever seen in my life.
Right, like they're doing Ben-Hur,
Yeah, and I had my case, and I thought I was just going to open up my case, and I went, I'm like monkey see, monkey do. Oh, they put that out? I'm putting that out. I'm putting that out. Okay. Oh, my whole case just came out, and I laid it out there, and...
But this is how it's done.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a great learning experience. Harry...
You were driven.
Harry was
driven. And
Harry,
what a wonderful
He's a wonderful man. He also introduced me to Harry Merritt.
Yes.
Who was the department head over at CBS.
Yes.
And every once in a while, when there was no work...
You'd go over there. Yeah.
Harry'd say, hey, you can use John.
Right.
And I'd go work at CBS. And I met some of the guys at CBS.
I wish you would have come to ABC.
Yeah. Actually, Rudy called me up once and said he was going to put me on something. It was either something over at the studio or at, when they did the the Academy Awards.
Yes, yes.
And I was sort of at the bottom of the long
Yeah,
list,
yeah.
so it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And but those 4 or 5 years training at NBC and CBS,
Yes.
learning how to do makeups
Yes.
and do them quickly
Fast.
and get them
That's
out,
the key.
and then going into the film world and refining
Yeah.
that. Because all of a sudden it's different. Everybody used to, the film guys, not all of them, that's not true, not all of them, but there were a lot of people who had an attitude like, you do TV, you couldn't possibly do film.
Right, right.
It's like,
Yeah, I've had that.
yeah, and what you realized was that you really had to just pull back on stuff,
Yeah.
but you were fast, and you
Yeah,
could do that.
yeah.
So it was a great learning experience. I met a lot of great makeup artists: Tommy Cole, Mark
Yeah.
Busan, Bobby Osterman,
Yes.
like both Harrys. God, I
You don't want to start
Yeah,
naming
I know,
all the great
I know.
makeup
It's
artists.
just-
We'll be here all day.
yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience.
great.
That
Do you use Harry Blake brushes?
I do.
Excellent.
I have the original set that Harry, they're not, some of them are gone now, but when Harry first put them, on the market,
Yeah.
I'd said, okay, I'll take a
Right.
set.
You can get them at Cinema Secrets in Burbank. We had Marie Stein on as a guest.
Yeah.
Last week.
Who was a great makeup artist, a really good man, and a very good friend of Harry's.
Yeah, they were best friends.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
And I used to send Harry out on for my cosmetics company. I'd send him out on trips, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sent him to Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
That was a mistake to send Harry to Sweden. You had to know Harry.
I know why, but I'm not going to say.
So he went to Sweden. He represented Joe Blasco Cosmetics. He did a great job for me, and
We call Harry, the great, Harry's nickname was the Great Brush Man.
Yes.
I mean, because when he put out
Yes.
those brushes,
Yes.
he just loved working with good brushes.
Yes. Well, he designed, and for all of you out there worldwide, Harry Blake, who was the head of makeup, as we've just discussed, for NBC television in Burbank, California.
Sanford and Son, Laugh-In, all that.
All the original shows. The Tonight Show, all right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Carson.
He did Johnny for
Yeah,
years.
years. He designed brushes. I mean, he made the best brushes. They were very, very unique. And this entire line of brushes is able to be seen and purchased at Cinema Secrets Beauty Supply. You can go to cinemasecrets.com and check out all the Harry Blake brushes, and you'll see how terrific they are. Yeah. But it's, I miss Harry.
Harry, if you're listening, thanks for everything,
Yeah.
really. He was a great guy.
Yeah, he certainly was. And we're going to stop just for 1 second.
Sure.
And we're going to be right back right after this. Don't you go away.
Do you have the passion of an artist? Does the idea of working on a living canvas thrill you? For over 30 years, Joe Blasco has pioneered the ultimate training for film and television makeup artistry. Students are taught to become professional makeup artists by industry professionals at our state-of-the-art facilities in Hollywood and Orlando. Join our award-winning graduates and realize your dream of becoming a professional makeup artist today. Visit us at joeblasco.com or call 323-467-4949 to schedule a tour of our campus.
Welcome back. Joe Blasco here with master makeup artist, Mr. John Rizzo.
Every time you say that, I cringe.
It's true, my man, it's true. Hey, you really paid your dues. Yeah, I noticed one of the shows on your resume was Cold Case.
Right, well,
And
not my show.
Cheryl Patak
Right.
she's one of my graduates. I believe she was the department head on there for a while.
Yes, she was.
Did you work with Cheryl?
No, actually, I just helped out on Cold Case, and actually, I didn't even put that on my IMDb. I always wonder how things get on IMDb. Some of the things I put in and say, I worked on this, put me on, they don't. And other things like Cold Case, which I basically day checked on, I look and I go, they got me in there.
Right.
So, but no, I came after Cheryl had left, and Peter Montagna.
Yes.
took
Peter
over.
Montagna.
Yeah, Peter's
great
a
guy.
great guy. He took over the show, and I met Peter some
I
years
never
ago.
met Peter. I'd love to have him on the show. He's done a lot of great
You
things.
would have a great time talking to
Yeah,
Peter.
Peter Montagna, Johnny Blake,
Yeah. Peter was over at Saturday Night Live
Scott
for
Ito.
years. Scott, yeah. Peter was on Saturday Night Live for years, and he had a great relationship with Billy Crystal and went on to be Billy's personal on a lot of shows, like Mr. Saturday Night, When Harry Met Sally, and Peter has great stories. He's a funny guy. You'd love him. And in fact, I'll call up Peter. I'm going to be calling you up because you should be on the show.
Good.
And thanks. And I always have to thank people like Peter. When you're not working, your friends call you up and say,
Right.
come help us out.
Right.
I
I remember I hadn't come to Hollywood yet. I remember seeing a picture, not of Peter, but another name that I just mentioned, Scott Ito.
Uh-huh.
And he was on location doing makeup for some Western. I'm not sure where it was. And it showed him, he was laying on a big boulder, right? Like sunning, sleeping with his makeup case right next to him. I'm sure it was Scott. And it said, makeup artist Scott Ito, relaxing in the blah, blah, blah. And I looked at that and I said, wow. Not only do they have fun, but look, they're outside, they're relaxing.
Getting a
I want to be a
suntan.
makeup artist.
Yeah.
I got to get Scott to come on the show.
Yeah,
And so many of the others.
he's
We're
a-
documenting. This show is document. My whole purpose of this is to document as much as possible of what is happening, what has happened, and what may be happening in the future in the world of professional makeup artistry.
Absolutely.
And that's my goal here.
Well, when we're talking about makeup artists that you work with, or you've worked with them, they've worked with you, because it's always. I always like to just say this is someone that I worked with, or someone that had me on a show, or they worked with me on a show.
Yes.
I know, and this is something, if you don't mind my saying.
No, go ahead.
I have never ever been in a situation where especially when I first started. And it could have happened and I would have accepted it, where guys like Tom Case or Frank Griffin or
Yes.
Rick Sharp or Ron Snyder
Yes.
could have easily said, this is John Rizzo, my assistant. They never, ever
Yes.
said that. Why? Because they felt, Harry Blake, same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry Blake was in charge of the department.
Yes.
Because they felt that term was demeaning.
Demeaning,
And
and
anytime,
rightly so, yeah.
anytime they introduced me or any other makeup artist, say, this is John, one of the makeup artists, so this is the makeup team.
Yes.
And I always did that. And I hear a lot of makeup artists today say, this is so-and-so, my assistant.
Yes.
And it makes me cringe.
Yes.
No one is your assistant. Everyone is your equal.
Your colleague, yeah, you're
You're
all
your
colleagues.
colleagues.
Yeah.
In fact, what I
peer,
prefer,
your
when
peer group.
we were working on Deadwood, I was happy to have makeup artists that I considered my equal, if any,
Right.
but really I felt most of them were better than me.
Right.
Because they were able to interpret
Yes.
what was required of the show.
Right.
And deliver.
Yes.
They're artists. They're makeup artists. They're not makeup assistants. They're
Yes,
makeup
exactly.
artists. And Rick Sharp, who basically is one of the fine makeup artists in our
Yes,
business,
yes.
said to me a long time ago, I consider all men and women that I work with makeup artists.
Yes.
Not anything else but makeup artists. And they're fellow makeup artists.
Yes.
And that's always stuck with me. So it's just something I wanted to throw out there, because I think it's important for people to know how they treat the people that they work with.
Yes.
Is how they're going to get respect
Yes.
back.
What goes around comes
around,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's a great lesson. This is why I would like you to come to lecture here at the Makeup Center.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I think you'd be sensational. You've been on so many things. You say that what you're saying about assistant makeup artists is so true, but the union at one time, correct me if I'm wrong, had a category. Did they not have a category? Assistant makeup artists?
No, assistant department head.
Assistant department head.
Yeah.
Right.
It was department head, assistant department head, key makeup artist.
Right.
And then makeup trainee or apprentice,
I
depending
see.
on
I
the
see.
year.
Yeah, I want to have Sue and Tommy come on, and really discuss the union, because I think it's so vitally important that everyone know how important the union is, being a member of the union, and I think that only Tommy and Sue would really be able to
Absolutely.
relay that to
I mean,
the audience.
what makeup artists have to realize about the conditions is that when you're working, and we've all worked non-union.
Yes.
And some
You
shows
have to start somewhere.
Yeah, some shows are better than others. Some people are better than others. It could be a checker at Ralph's. The checker at Ralph's in Hollywood, the manager's a nice guy.
Right.
The checker at Ralph's in You know, Culver City, he's not a nice guy. I'm from Culver City, so really he's a nice man. But my point is, it doesn't matter what you do. It matters who you work with and the relationships you have.
How you work, how you treat your fellow human beings.
And all unions began, our union, just like, you know, the coal miners' union, were so that people were there for you who could negotiate your working conditions,
Yes.
your health and welfare benefits,
Yes.
and a fair salary.
Yes, yes.
And that's what, you know, that's what all unions are there for. So when we're working, we know we have a certain contract
Yes.
that we're working under, and that if that contract is violated, you can say something about it.
Because we're artists.
Yeah.
We work for nothing.
Yeah. Oh,
You know
boy.
what I mean?
And I
we
have.
work for nothing. It's like we need people, you know, to come in and to negotiate for us and to say, this is how much you're going to make, this is how long you're going to work, this is when you're going to break, you know? So, absolutely. You know, I don't know about you, but I've worked so many crazy jobs on my way,
Oh, yeah.
you know, up. You had to have as well. You have any stories?
Well, in between that time when I got my 31 days and when Harry Blake called me up, when I was at Universal for the 31 days,
Yes.
I met Mike McCracken, Werner Kempler, Ken Diaz,
Yes.
Tom Herber, all these guys that some of you might know, you know, their names.
Yes.
But Mike McCracken, an incredibly talented man.
Wonderful man.
And
His son worked for us for a while
yeah.
down in Florida.
Oh, I mean, incredibly talented. I mean, just the man lives in the right side of his brain. He paints, he sculpts.
Yes.
And he was a makeup artist for a while, but really his talents went way beyond that.
Yes.
And Mike got a show called. So basically, what happened at Universal was, after my 13, 14, 15 hours working at Universal, I'd go up to the lab and I go, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" "This is a makeup lab." I knew nothing again. "Can I help?" I was off the clock. I had to punch out, and I'd stay there for hours, and Werner would show me how to make molds, and Mike would show me other things, and I would just learn. Well, Mike remembered that, and he called me months and months later and said I was doing some menial job as, you know, working in some office, just trying to
Yes.
pay the rent, and he had a show called The Beastmaster.
I remember it.
Well, we never did it, but we were doing all the stuff before that.
Right.
And Mike said, "I need some help." And I said, "Oh, I went to visit them." I said, "Can I come here and help?" So I came and helped for like a day or two. And Mike said, "No, I'm paying you." I went, "You are?" Because you're right. I thought I was working for nothing. I just wanted to learn. No, he goes, you came here, you're working, I'm paying you. He paid me. He paid me to be there, and I went, "That's it. I don't have to be, you know, a part-time accountant or whatever I was doing." And but the funny story is that we were working out of his garage, and now Cal OSHA dictates,
Oh, yeah.
you know, areas need to be ventilated, you know, what you have to do. We were mixing up urethanes while people were smoking cigars,
Oh, my God.
you know, which is one of the top 3 carcinogens in the
Yes,
world.
yes.
You know, and I'd come home with headaches and go, "Oh boy, what's going on?" You know, it's part of the business. I
Right,
mean,
right.
but once again, Mike was one of those guys. He took me another step, and he
Yes.
put bread on my table.
Yes, yes.
You know, and it's an Italian saying. I'm Italian.
Yeah.
He put
Yeah.
Harry Blake, Mike. They put bread on my
Yeah,
table.
absolutely.
You know, and I'm eternally grateful to him, the whole family. I mean, I'm still friends with them.
But you had what it took. They recognized that. I can see it in
I
your
was
eyes.
hungry.
No, you were passionate. No, you were passionate. You wanted to be a makeup artist, you know? And here you are.
Yeah, and it bought a lot of spaghetti.
That's right, lots of spaghetti, lots of spaghetti. Look at this. You know, when we called the Television Academy and we asked them, it's all right if we display Emmys, because all of most of the makeup artists that we're interviewing have the Emmy Awards. And they said, it's okay. It has to face to the right, and we've made a few mistakes. We faced to the left. But please don't hang anything from the wings. Apparently people are hanging like beads and things. We could have hung some spaghetti from these wings.
Linguini.
What a beautiful statuette, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It was the
So
two of the greatest thrills of my life.
Yeah, now tell me about that. Tell me about the moment when you were there. And tell me about what did you go through to be nominated, the experiences there during the actual presentation.
Well, to be nominated, every makeup artist who does a show,
Yes.
Emmys are for television, so every makeup artist who does a show who feels that their work is noteworthy can submit 75 words or less explaining what they did on the show that they worked on so they can be considered for a nomination.
75 words.
Or less.
Or less.
Yeah. And,
That's a lot.
and I have to say that in my 28 years, up until Deadwood, although I'm very proud of the work that I did,
Yes.
I never felt that anything was Emmy noteworthy. And that doesn't mean that the work wasn't good. And I think it's very important for makeup artists to know that just because you do something that may not be, outstanding in its field, that's going to rise above everybody else, so that way you can shine a light on it,
Yes.
that doesn't mean that the work you do is not noteworthy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But for the most part, everything I ever did was what, you and I have talked about this
Yeah.
before. It's the meat and potatoes of the business.
Absolutely, right.
Somebody comes in, you do a corrective makeup, you do a little, or you do less than what may be needed because you realize they don't need that much. And it's not important to put makeup on them so it looks like makeup.
Yes.
But every single day you come in, whether you're doing a soap opera, whether you're doing the Tonight Show, whether you're doing the news, whatever, a game show, daytime, nighttime television, feature films, you do what needs to be done,
Yes.
dictated by the script, the show.
Yes.
Deadwood was the first time I went, I can actually say that I can write 75 words or less, and that this show deserves the consideration to be nominated.
Yes.
That was number one. We did. And every year, we were on 3 seasons, and every year we were fortunate enough to be honored by our peers, and they said that we were one of the 5 shows
Yes.
that was nominated for outstanding makeup in a series, non-prosthetic.
Yes.
Because even though we did use prosthetics
Yeah,
at time,
yes.
we never used so much that, once again, we went for that other category.
Yeah.
We just went for the non-prosthetic category. So basically, my 75 words or less just said, we did a show
Yes.
that encompassed all of the regulars, the reoccurring characters, and the
Yes.
background
Yes.
to make them look historically accurate
Yes.
for the time.
Yes.
And what we did was we had hair goods, overlay, specially formulated dirts. Thank you, Mark Busan. It was his formula to begin with. I always give credit where credit is due. Although, Mark, we did improve on your formula, you know that, right? And the character work. So, like I said, we were fortunate enough to be honored by our peers. We got the nomination
Yes.
for all 3 seasons. Every year I went there, I never prepared a speech. In my head, I had some key points.
Right.
Of course, you want to thank the creators of the show and so forth and so
Yes.
on, and the people you worked with. And,
It's remembering the names. Remembering the names.
yeah.
Because you don't want to forget it.
Oh, no, you don't want to forget anybody. But I said, no, I'm not going to go with expectation. When you go with expectation, expectation leads to disappointment.
Yes.
I just said, it is what it is, and if we win, we win. And first year, we didn't win. I said, well, that's okay. I mean, we were here, we were honored, and that was good. The second and the third year, second year, we won. I mean, there was a little bit more anxiety the second year because you're going, I wonder, like, this is the second year. I mean, will we get picked? And we did, and it was very exciting. The third year was a total surprise. I figured we've been nominated 3 times, we won once. A lot of times people go, we don't have to give it to them because they've already won.
Right.
There are other shows that are noteworthy, and they were. We were up against some really incredible shows with fabulous makeup artists. I mean, really, really good makeup artists, really good shows. And when we won, I was like, I actually jumped up and went, yes! Had my seat. Luckily, the camera wasn't on me at the time, but I was. I almost knocked my girlfriend out, and it was very exciting. I went, wow, I've got bookends. And that's the joke in the business. You have bookends. You have two of them. You have bookends, and both times I went up, it was Ron Snyder and myself. The third year, Bob Scribner was there. The first year we won, just Ron and I showed up for the awards. So going up there and just thanking everybody, that's also it's just a thrill. You're looking at all these people.
You get to thank everyone.
And say thank you. This is a great honor, and it was fabulous.
You have a Matthew Mungle story.
I do, and Matthew Mungle was one of your students, and probably, I guess, the most famous of your students, or close to it.
Yeah.
Bill Corso, Cheryl Patak,
There are quite a few.
But Matthew and I met in the 80s when I was working at NBC, and he was over there as well.
Yes.
And I'm not exactly sure how this came about, but every once in a while we would practice on each other. I remember doing a live cast on Ken Schoenfeld, his father was Don Schoenfeld, who was a makeup artist. His uncle was Ben Lane.
Yes.
So we would do that. Okay, let's do this. So we'll practice, and I'll do one on you. You do one on, you do something on me. And Matthew, or we do bald caps and stuff. And Matthew said, you got a good head. Do a bald cap on you, and maybe I'll do some kind of Halloween thing.
You had a lot of hair.
I had hair at the time. Yeah, I did have hair at the time, and so Matthew did a great bald cap on me, and he said, I'm just gonna. I have some appliances, and I'm gonna do some stuff, and we'll do teeth. And I went, okay. And I think we did an impression of my mouth or something, and we came back the next week and said, okay, let's do this. And I sat down for it, and I think I have some photos.
Yes.
Hopefully,
yes.
you guys will show
we're
this.
showing. We're going to show.
In fact, Matthew and I both had hair.
Yes, that's right.
Back in those days.
You have hair. The style is short.
Oh yeah, believe me. If
I have to get into style.
If I grew this, I would look like the love child of Neil Diamond and Larry Fine. There's nothing much left. You have more than I do.
It's all an illusion, believe me.
But Matthew did a great job, and it's one of my best photos to just hang around and go, that's me.
Right. And there's a photo here, I think we're showing it, of you in the makeup,
yes,
making Matthew up.
Yes, with Matthew wondering how scary this is. And Matthew has a copy of that as well, I believe.
Yeah, John, what he'll get tickled when he sees this. He'll love it. What's in store for John?
Well, let's see. After Deadwood, I did a couple of nighttime, television shows. Jericho being one of them with Bob Scribner. Helped out on Cold Case a lot. Peter would call up in between stuff, and Ron Snyder had gone to. We were supposed to come back and do two Deadwood movies that never happened. So Ron went off with our producers and did John from Cincinnati. I went and helped out on that at the very end, for the last episode. And then we were waiting for something, and we got called to do Swingtown, which is another great period show.
Yes.
It was
You're getting a reputation for
period
makeup.
Go figure. When I was doing Predator, I got a reputation for a while. I kept on getting thrown into the jungles. Ken Diaz would call me Jungle Johnny, because I was always the guy going into the jungles and throwing dirt and blood and mud on people. Now it's period shows. In between that, I did nothing but beauty. So as we used to kid around, what do you do? I go beauty to the beast.
Yeah, there you go.
We do it all. But we did Swingtown, which was great because we practically reunited a bunch of the Deadwood people.
Yes.
Ron, that was Ron's show. He said, come on, work with me. I said, great. And Carol Pershing, who was one of our hairstylists on Deadwood, she was the department head on the second season. Karen Zanke, who worked with us for a while on Deadwood. I'm going blank on some of the other people.
That's all right. That's right.
But anyway, it was a period show. Took place in the suburbs of Chicago.
Yes.
In the 70s, and it was about swinging, sexual swinging, and it was on CBS. And unfortunately, people liked the show, but it didn't get the ratings. So that didn't happen. All of us, almost the same crew.
Yes.
Last month we went to Michigan to do an Untitled HBO pilot.
Yes.
So we're waiting to see if something happens with that. And in the meantime, I'll day check.
Yeah. Listen, let's talk about the relationship between the department head makeup and the department head hair.
Sure.
In the old days, the head of the makeup department was in charge of hair as well.
Yes.
And they brought the hairdressers in, hairstylists. And the makeup artist had full say-so over everything. Today, it's different.
Yes, it is.
And today there is a department head hair and a department head makeup.
Absolutely.
And they have to work together.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you feel this should come about.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to also say that that department head makeup and department head hair, it's to me, it's very simple. You're a team.
Right.
And the makeup department and the hair department, they're teams. They work together. And especially when you do a show, I don't want to make it sound like period shows are more difficult or have a higher queue, so to speak, than any other show.
Yes.
But it always is a team effort. Something like Deadwood, when an actor would come in and you knew you had to put a wig on that actor and sideburns and a mustache, it's like, well, what kind of wig? Where do I put the sideburns? Will the wig go over the sideburns? Will the sideburns go over the wig? How are we going to overlay? How does that work? I've been in situations where I've said, can you help me with this? I need a little help here because this is all I have. This actor doesn't have any sideburns, and I'm going to have to go up here, but are you going to be able to bring the hair down from your wig?
Yes.
And I've never, ever had a hairstylist, thank God, the ones that I've worked with, who weren't cooperative, because they care just as much as anybody else. We wanted to work and work well, because as Vidal Sassoon would say, if you don't look good, we don't look good.
Right.
And it's really the truth. I mean, you can have a great lace piece or you can have a great wig, but if somehow you put your lace piece and it ends down there and the wig ends up there, somebody's screwed up.
Right.
So we help each other.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, when you're designing something, you talk to each other.
Yes.
And how we talk to each other is we talk to each other when no one else is around. You never try to overstep the good ones that you work with.
Yes.
You never try to do things in front of an actor or producer where it makes it look like you're the king, you're the queen,
That's right.
And what you do is I learned to keep my mouth shut. I'm talking a lot now, but believe me, and Carol Pershing, who's a great hairstylist, will always say, John, shut up. Just listen. And she's a great hairstylist. And what I learned from working with people like Carol or Ron or Tommy Cole or Mark Bisson, any of these people, Harry, is that the best thing you can do is keep your mouth shut and listen a lot. Just listen a lot and be agreeable.
That's right.
And then accomplish what the goal is of that director or that writer, that producer, that actor.
That's right.
It's your job to make it happen.
Right, to bring their vision to life.
Absolutely. And when we do that, that's where the reward is.
Right.
Whether it's a period show or not a period show, it really doesn't matter. And I would be nothing, without having a hairstylist working with me, because they top everything we do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way of putting it.
Huh.
That's really terrific. That's right on the money with that, John. John, I want to thank you very much for coming in here today. You're such a great guy.
Thank you.
You really are, and the passion in your eyes and the love for what you do is just, you exude it. And this is what I hope they're out there taking notes. You need to be taking notes. And if you missed any part of this, be sure that you watch the rerun of this.
One more thing I do want to say, because one of the makeup artists I've worked with over the years, who if I mentioned him, I mentioned Ken Diaz. Ken Diaz is one of the most talented makeup artists working today.
Yes.
Nominated for 2 Academy Awards.
Yes.
For really beautiful, seamless, subtle aging on Dad and on Mi Familia.
Yes.
And also Emmy nominated in Winter. But the thing is that Ken is one of these people, he knows when to be theatrical
Yes.
and over the top,
Yes.
something, because he's done a lot of horror shows.
Yes.
But he also knows the subtleties of makeup.
Yes.
And he is really a beauty to the beast guy. I mean,
Yes.
he's done some of the most beautiful beauty makeups I've ever seen.
Yes.
And I know you had mentioned you wanted to have him on, so
Yes,
I want to say that it's been my honor to work
Yes.
with someone,
Yes.
and he's my friend. He's
Yes,
a really
he's
good guy.
a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And one of the things is the fact that he's also an entrepreneur,
Yes,
and he has a product line,
yes, he does.
and it's become one of the top, best known, and most popular of all professional product lines.
His blood is
KD
yeah.
blood and all the special makeup.
You want a funny
products. Sure, let's have a.
Okay,
This is great.
KD 151. Ken's line is called KD 151.
Right.
Why is it called KD 151?
151. I'm curious.
Well, Ken and I, when we knew each other back in the day, one of the things Ken liked was Bacardi 151 rum.
I love it.
And when Ken said at one time, he said, I'm going to make a blood. I said, really? He goes, but I want to make it very realistic. And he knew that it's red, but it's brown and all the different colors and how he was going to do it. And he goes, what we need is a blood sample. And I went to my doctor at the time, and I said, I need 2 vials of my blood. And he said, what? And I said, well, my friend wants to make a blood line, and I promised him I'd get him some real blood. And the doctor looked at me and he went, oh, you crazy makeup artist, So he said, okay, and he took 2 vials of my blood. I brought it back to Ken. We looked at it, and it was Ken's formula. I just donated. I was a blood donor, And then he says, what are we going to call this? He goes, we have to call it something. And I said, how about KD 151? I said, nobody will ever know what that means. And he goes,
Until now.
and he said, okay. And
That is
and we
great.
made the first batch in his kitchen. And I still have about this much left.
Of the first batch?
Of the very first
Oh,
batch,
wow,
somewhere in
that's
my
a
house
story.
that I never
I love it.
that I never use. It was just
Don't use it.
No, I don't. And it's the blood gel. But Ken,
Yes.
I always use Ken's blood.
Yeah.
Ken, his bloods, his, as he says, his jams, jellies, and gels. It's the standard in the
Yeah, it
business.
is, yeah.
And his spirit gum,
Yes.
which is like the old Max Factor spirit gum.
Yes, it is. Like the matte finish.
Yeah.
Like matte finish. Which is terrific. You can probably, what is his website, do you know? We'd like to.
I don't know.
It may be like kd.com
Yeah.
or Ken Diaz.
Yeah, but look up Ken
.com.
Diaz.
Yeah. Look him up on the what is it?
IMDb.
Yeah, IMDb. And he's done so many things. He's such a nice guy.
He really is.
Very, very talented. We will call him and have him on. But right now, I want to thank you.
Thanks.
For being here.
My pleasure.
John, this is John Rizzo, ladies and gentlemen, one of Hollywood's most talented, most energetic makeup artists. All right. And you've been watching yours truly and John Rizzo right here on MUA TV's Spotlight on Success. And don't go away, because we've got a lot more makeup and hair programming right here in store for you.